And we're back. This is The World Exposed with Reverend Aaron Betts, Reverend Brett Connell, Reverend Alan Farkas, Reverend Christopher Gore. We are excited to bring you tonight's message, words, hope, but truth. Get yourself prepared. This is going to be a wild, wild ride.
Hey, Brother Bro.
Hey, Brother Chris.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the seat.
So our hot topic is lawlessness for tonight. I will start out with a few scriptures and we can run wherever you want to run.
Yeah.
If we stay on lawlessness, we stay on lawlessness. If not, it's okay.
That's right. Cool. Yeah, it's, just real quick, briefly, it's lawlessness, I think, is an excellent topic because there's so much stuff going on out here. It is ridiculous. All you got to do is wake up. You can see it. It's in plain sight. Right there. You don't even have to leave your house sometimes. Yeah, but it's happening, and the Bible says it's going to be here, and it's going to stick around for a little while. In fact, it's going to get worse.
It's absolutely the truth. There's so much even going on in our little area. There was a road rage incident out in Hartley, Delaware. You don't think about that being in such a small state, a small town, but I think someone got hurt very bad. I can't remember if the person passed away or not, but it was completely dumb.
Yeah.
I feel bad driving anymore because you just never know what people's thought processes are. Yes. And that's an excellent example of lawlessness. Every time I drive through my development, people run the stop signs. And I think that's a good example of where it starts at. Oh, nobody's here. The cop's not here. I don't need to do what everybody else does. And you don't realize that you're putting yourself in that habit of not stopping, disregarding it. And when you really need to stop, you're going to kill somebody.
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the guy that was shot in Hartley, he did die at the hospital.
Wow.
Yep. It's a shame. And really, you got one guy zipping out, driving erratically. He cut in front of this, other guy. So, the innocent guy pulled in front of him and stopped and began a physical altercation with the subject. And, some bystanders broke it up. They went back to their trucks. Well, the one guy got out just to pick up his hat that fell on the road from the altercation. But as he approached the other dude's truck, he was sitting there waiting with a gun. Boom, one shot. Yep. So like you said, you just don't know. And it's my take on this, Chris, is we have to be so careful with this gross darkness, not afraid of it, but using wisdom, practicing caution, and basically being like a peacemaker of sorts. If I can explain this right, there's sometimes that you just need to walk away, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Don't
prove a point. Don't try to confront if it's not necessary to do so, because these people nowadays, I liken them to wild beasts in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
They operate only off brute animal instinct, and the higher reasoning is not present in day-to-day life.
I think it's such we as a society, I'm speaking specifically of Americans, have become animalistic in nature, whether it's through sex, eating, just our base instincts have gone from being humane and decent people to just whatever feels good, I'm going to do it at that particular moment. And we're really fulfilling biblical prophecy by these things happening, because it says the love of many will grow cold and then lawlessness will abound. It's showing that we really have no love at all, not even for ourselves. We don't even have the decency to love ourselves in everyday circumstances and situations. And we're putting ourselves in these desperate, dire, unnecessary situations. I know someone who went through the concealed carry class, and with those classes, they pretty much teach you it's your responsibility to walk away.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be the policeman. You're not supposed to be the hero. If you can escape, if you can get away, then you need to do that. And this person was telling me, when they went through the class, that it's kind of like a different mindset. If you ever have a concealed carry, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go rescue the world. And no, that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for. And it was a different, in talking to this person, it was a different understanding, a different mindset.
Right.
Even with that, that this person that holds this license, you have to be careful about just taking your weapon out, showing it to people, because if they feel like you're threatening them, they could put charges against you for displaying this weapon.
Yes.
Nobody thinks about that. Oh, I'm on my own property and I'm minding my own business, and they came up and, I just kind of flashed it to them, let them know, hey, this ain't the place to do this. Well, if you don't call the police and say someone attacked you, they can in turn call the police and say that you attacked them. And then that person is going to jail.
Yeah. And people don't realize, like, each state, even counties at some level, may have ordinances in place or may have laws regarding brandishing a weapon.
Yeah.
Or even like in the state of Delaware's case, there's no clearly defined law that defines brandishing, but there is a law of misconduct, public disorderly conduct, just having a weapon out of its holster in your hand. So you could still be charged on something like that. There's just little things, and you don't even want anyone to know any of that stuff anyway, if you did have it. I mean, the whole point is you train to never have to use it.
Yeah. Conceal is the big word.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just look at people and I'm like, keep your mouth shut, be quiet.
Right. Yep.
Don't put that extra attention on yourself that you don't want that attention, and
right.
I remember going to high school, and people would fight and they would broadcast we're going to fight, and I would often think, because it doesn't take an extreme amount of force to strike somebody in the right place, and then there you are at 17, 18 years old going to jail because you killed somebody.
Right.
And I don't think that we understand how close we are to being evil, because we have this sin nature ever since Adam and Eve ate the fruit in the garden. We have the potential to be just demonic. Yeah. And it's not only, perversion, just violent in nature, dirty. And if we're not living in Christ, we're not going to seek to be pure, seek to be holy. And when you look at this lawlessness that's going on, whatever they want to do, they just do it, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Right. I mean, even just while we're on this topic, just real quick, I'll give you an example. I know a guy online that he was sharing his story. He's at a liquor store, and he's standing in line, and all of a sudden these two guys come in, and they're already coming in the store arguing like pretty loud.
Wow.
So the one guy's talking about, hey, you're disrespecting me. And the other guy's like, hey man, I'm just telling the truth like it is. And then the first guy's like, you better stop or you're going to be missing some teeth. And so all of a sudden, the first guy leaves the store. And this guy that I'm talking about here that's telling the story, he thought the altercation was over because the one guy left. But he came back in with a brick and just assaulted the guy, like point blank in his face.
Wow.
So then the guy gets back up and they both, leave the store. And, the shop owner has some cleaning up to do. They call the cops. The cops show up 30 minutes later. And of course, because they both left, it's like, well, we can't do anything. So they left. Well, then later on, like an hour later at a Food Lion, the same two guys finished their altercation at the store and finally got arrested. One guy went to the hospital and the other one went to jail. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Well, the guy who's telling the story, it just so happens he has a concealed carry permit. And he was wanting to know, to get a public consensus, like, did he do the right thing by basically just like, standing there, mind his own business, don't look, don't engage or anything. And people were telling him, like, you did the right thing by not even participating in it. Like, you're a witness and that's it.
Yeah.
And other people was telling him, like, if you see stuff like that, it's probably safer just to leave.
Yeah.
Drop everything. If you have a cart, leave it there. And I tell my kids, I tell everybody, when we're out and something crazy starts going on, somebody coming in and discharging a firearm or anything like that, I told them I'm going to give the signal, code black or whatever, a keyword that they understand.
Yeah.
And we're going to power walk together. We're not going to run because we're not trying to be crazy, but we're going to stay in close proximity. We're going to power walk together and everybody's going to follow me. And I told them, I don't care if it says this door will sound an alarm if you open it. I don't care if it says employees only. I don't care if it says fire escape. I don't care what. We are going through those exits and we are getting out of that place.
Dude, some of the scenarios in that particular situation, I know somebody else who was talking about, they were in Walmart in Camden and someone pulled the fire alarm and his first instinct was, I'm not going through the door that everybody else is going through.
Right.
Because what if somebody's there shooting?
Yes.
He went in the opposite direction. And I said, Dag, I would have never, ever thought about that. Wow. But we have to be thinking outside of the box because you never know what's going to happen anymore because everything is so wild.
Yeah.
There was another shooting here recently where they were shooting the first responders that were coming in there. And even now they're talking about some of the firefighters. They're being shot at, pulling up to these alarms. The house is on fire and somebody's shooting at them. This is in Delaware.
Wow. What the
This
heck?
is in Delaware that, these types of things are going on.
That's unreal. You can't, like, firefighters already have like 50 pounds of apparatus and equipment at a bare minimum.
Yep.
You can't strap body armor on them on top of everything else.
Yeah. And you're not
goodness.
thinking that I'm going to be shot at.
Right.
Put this fire out. Your mind is on, getting rid of the source of oxygen so the fire goes out.
Right. Yeah. Now they have to wait for the police to show up first before they can fight the fire.
Jeez.
Oh man, it's going to turn into Maui. No, I shouldn't say that. But actually, speaking of Maui and lawlessness, I've got to talk about these wildfires in Hawaii because there is too much evidence that has surfaced that points to all these wildfires. If you look at the actual pictures of the aftermath of these wildfire devastation, okay, most wildfires, your average wildfire, I forget, it's like 1600 degree temperatures. It's enough to melt aluminum. So you have all these cars that are like slightly melted, like the aluminum rims.
Wow.
There's sort of like a little puddle going on. So that's, sort of natural. It's explainable. But the melting point of glass is like 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Wildfires don't typically get that hot. So when you have melted glass,
They melted glass.
yes, some of the cars have melted glass, homes melted glass. Even if the car was on fire, like that still wouldn't increase the source temperature of the fire to be enough to melt glass. So something strange here. And then
Wow.
not only that, but they have a whole bunch of blue colored objects that are seemingly untouched by the damage. Blue cars, blue boats, blue umbrellas, like a patio umbrella,
Really?
untouched. Yep. Not even singed.
How do you explain that?
It is very interesting to explain that, because not only do you have all this going on, but a lot of these houses burned completely down to the ground, but there's like a mysterious white ashy substance in the rubble. And there are trees that were not that far away from the houses that are completely intact. They were not burned down at all, still green.
So no spark, no flame, no lightning, just
Nope.
and they're still there.
And they're still there. So it's like, well, the houses and the structures were destroyed, but the land and the trees and that kind of stuff was fine. And mysteriously, all these blue objects that were mostly untouched is also interesting. And there's also evidence from there's an observatory in Hawaii, and there was a nature trail that had like the cameras on the nature trail. And there was some guy that had they put little cameras in bird houses and stuff, so you could watch a lot. It was one of those cameras. All three of them picked up at the same date and time what appears to be green lasers coming out of the night sky,
Get out of here.
down towards the earth. Yeah. And the hypothesis, the theory here is that because all these homes that were desirable, that were owned by low, middle income class families, because only those homes were really burned down or destroyed, but the trees were okay and everything else was cool. The theory is that there had to be some kind of geolocational mapping that took place. And then a laser beam, which would be hot enough to melt glass and aluminum to the extent that there's large puddles of aluminum. That's the only way you can really burn like houses, but leave the trees alone. You have to map everything out first and then come back again with the laser and burn only the specific parts that you want burnt or destroyed. And the laser does not burn the color blue because of its wavelength spectrum. Yep.
Wow.
And that's proof. You can look at it. They got videos where they have like rainbow colored material in a laser beam. It's cooking and toasting and burning all the colors except blue. Passes right over blue, doesn't burn it.
What do you think the end game is, Brett? What I know, I know in the Black community they talk about gentrification, and they talk about how in some of these neighborhoods they make the Black people run their neighborhood down, and they make them make their neighborhood slums, and then rich white people come in and buy their neighborhood at dirt cheap prices, and then they start rebuilding everything. Do you think this is a similar situation with the Hawaii?
I believe that this is in fact what's going on here to an extent, because you have interests of wealthy upper class people that want this property in these locations. And of course, people aren't going to be willing to sell their property or their ancestral heritage and homeland, so the only way feasibly is to, well, let's all just create a natural disaster and burn it down. And then we'll come in and we'll swoop in and help. And here's the other kicker, Chris. They had canceled the schools. The public schools were shut down.
Why?
I think when the wildfires first started in one of the areas, they just shut down all the public schools and stuff.
Is that their typical procedure, or was this something special for this particular occasion?
I want to say that that's a special occasion, because you don't cancel an entire school district until you've at the very beginning of a wildfire. I mean, you have to assess, how bad is it? Is it spreading? What's the likelihood that it would envelop, these areas? So none of the kids are going to school. All of a sudden, the electricity gets shut off by the local power company 6 hours before the fires started.
6 hours before?
Yep.
Okay, that looks a little suspicious.
And it's actually going to court. They have a lawsuit because they're saying, why did you shut off the electricity mysteriously hours before all this stuff began? Then the water was turned off as the fires were raging, so they couldn't fight the fires.
Now, I heard about this water thing, and this is what I heard, which I thought was completely crazy. The environmentalists did not want them to use the water because it's a precious resource and they have to hold it dear to their hearts. So much so that it took them 5 hours to get permission from the farmer in order to divert the water back into the natural streams so the firefighters could use it, because they were that concerned that they were going to harm the water.
Yep. That about sums it up.
I'm dumbfounded,
Yeah.
and I know that there's certain places where water is in a shortage, but
Right. But
here's
Not like
the thing I
that.
don't get. You're next to the ocean. Why
It's
can't you
bound to-
drag some hoses and start pumping
Right.
some water out of the ocean? And I don't know anything about Hawaii. I've never been, other than what I've seen on Gilligan's Island and, some random TV shows, Hawaii Five-0 or nothing like that. But
It seems to me salt water would work just as fine as fresh water to
Yeah,
put out a fire. I don't know. I could be wrong. But that, and in conjunction with the electricity being off too, like the whole thing here is just, it stinks.
And that was one of the things they were talking about. They were mad at the electric company because they didn't turn it off. Now they're saying they turned it off 6 hours before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. I have a video that I want to share with you that talks about all this, so you can see like live, like what we're talking about here.
Okay.
And let me see, I'll have to finagle this here, share my screen, turn up my audio here. All right, now play this clip here, make sure you can hear it.
Fires in California, Australia, and now Hawaii are unlike anything we've ever seen before. They are being called forest fires and wildfires, but they are clearly something very different. These fires are burning homes into a white powdery ash footprint, while often leaving the surrounding green trees and shrubs practically untouched. In extreme cases, forest fires can reach temperatures up to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and the melting point of aluminum is 1,220 Fahrenheit. So it is possible for an extreme forest fire to melt aluminum. But there are cars with puddles of melted aluminum that were clearly not in the wildfire area. And melted glass, which has a melting point around 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. These are unexplained anomalies. In the California fires of 2018, cars were randomly bursting into flames on the freeway with no surrounding fires. We've seen these same anomalies in New York City on September 11th, 2001. Cars completely burned out with no explanation. In Maui, these unnatural fires spared the homes of the rich while burning the native homes of the working class. With precision, These fires destroyed the most envied, high-valued areas of Maui. For decades, directed energy weapons have been classified, but they have been on the public record for several years now. Directed energy weapons, known as TWEs, have the ability to burn homes with this sort of precision. But in order to be this precise, the area would have to be mapped out. In January of this year, green lasers were seen over Hawaii, which could
Wow.
be described as a geospatial array for mapping terrain. We have seen that among the ashy ruins, there are blue-colored objects that have somehow survived the devastation. Blue cars, blue umbrellas, a blue boat, blue planters.
Wow.
Videos online are going viral that show how lasers can easily burn through certain colored objects, but objects that are colored blue remain unharmed.
Yep. See, it doesn't even get touched.
Directed energy weapons include lasers, millimeter wave, and microwave. They are all based on light frequencies, and different wavelengths of light affect colors differently.
This is
For
crazy.
example, in laser tattoo removal, different wavelengths are used for removing different colors.
Wow.
Color is a quality of light. Each color has its own frequency. Interestingly enough, the frequency of the color blue is 6.66.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Little extra tidbit in there, but see that I saw that video and I started looking this stuff up because I thought, okay, well, maybe, just maybe, right? There's, some flare here or something, but the geospatial LiDAR mapping is a real legit thing that they've been using for years, where they use low Earth orbiting satellites, LEO satellites. And those things just fly around low enough where they can use this kind of technology accurately. You can map out different things, and they basically use it to map out elevations, terrain, different things like that. But the technology is all there. It's been there for decades, really. And they're just using I feel that because of this gross darkness and all this lawlessness, these people, the select upper echelon tier of people, are just using these things for their own advantage, to take land, to increase their gains, and for whatever nefarious purposes they have. But there it is. I mean, it's hard to argue with that science.
I'd be curious to know if this happened in other places around the world, but because it was like impoverished, nobody really spoke out against it. Nobody really drew. They had to have tested this somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you nailed it right on the head there. Who's going to report like a, low level area where there's not a whole lot of, nothing valuable there, or so they say. So it's never on the news, or you wouldn't hear about it otherwise. And that's where they do all their tests. Because I guarantee you, they test all this stuff to make sure it works before they pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez.
It's unreal. Yep. That's exactly the kind of stuff that's going on nowadays with all this crazy lawlessness. And not only that, let's talk about the Biden administration. We were talking about this briefly. We can talk about that all night. It's so bad.
Completely lawless.
Yes. It's so hard to stomach and watch, the speeches that this guy gives, or any event that he attends. He's having to be shut down and walked off the stage at important, critical events and moments. They were giving that one guy the Medal of Honor, or whatever it was, to the veteran.
Biden was so disinterested, it's not even funny.
He left before it was finished.
Yeah, yeah. And then they put some they were talking about his son or something like that. And he had some jazz music in the background. He left and then came back and was like, "Hey guys, how we doing? You know, this is a fun party, so to speak." I'm just, exaggerating some of the things that he said, but wow.
It is bad. And then you have all this weirdness, like, who was it? Mitch McConnell, the senator. He was doing a speech and everybody's sitting there, and all of a sudden the guy just freezes and locks up.
Freezes
And
up.
he's gone. 1,000-yard stare. He's totally gone for an extremely uncomfortably long period of time.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Are you okay, man?" Like, there are such a thing as seizures that don't involve any convulsions or anything. You literally you stare off into space.
Yeah.
And you don't move, but you're actually having a seizure.
So did they take one of these laser beams and put it on him at that moment, telling him to shut up?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
They probably had to develop a program to do that because of Biden. Just press a button, make him freeze and shut up.
But the crazy thing is, like, he's aligned with, even though he's a Republican, he's aligned with Biden. So
Yep.
what's the deal there? What's the story?
Go
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that there's another guy that did something like that. I can't remember his name, but it's like, why is everyone doing this now?
I'm curious because I like looking at the bigger picture. I like trying to figure out what the big picture is, and I have this running theory right now, and it involves all of the religions that are not Christian in nature and in basis. And I firmly believe that all of these different, even right down to the atheists, the Buddhists, the Muslims, the Catholics, all of these different groups, because they're off just a little bit from the scripture, they actually are going to start working together, have been working together. Did you see this, that in the news, the Church of God in Christ and the Church of the Latter-day Saints was about to sign a merger for helping and feeding the homeless, and it got shut down because some people in the Church of God in Christ said, no, we can't be aligned with Muslims. But look at the unity that they're trying to promote within these denominational structures, but also these different religions. Everybody's learning how to quote unquote coexist. We're gonna exist together. I don't necessarily believe everything that you Muslim believe, or I don't necessarily believe everything that you Presbyterian believe, but as long as we can just hold hands, smoke our peace pipe, everything's gonna be okay. You don't touch me, I won't touch you. So I think that this lawlessness that we're looking at is a part of the bigger picture, the Antichrist system. And the Antichrist system is meant to bring back their Messiah, in their mind, Lord Satan.
Yeah.
Lord Satan, we're gonna bow down and worship you. So going back to this thing with the Maui fire, I just remember the thought that I had. This seems like an alignment of the Jezebel Ahab spirit, because somehow, some way, Ahab is wanting this land, whether Ahab is Oprah Winfrey or the other people that are out there. So they're getting their Jezebel spirits to give them this land. And it's all working, in order to, just like it was a Nabal, they stole Nabal's land from him, and it was his inheritance, and they took it from him. And, there's something significant about this. There's something significant because it keeps happening, in different areas and different regions. And the church needs to wake up and really get in the spirit to see what's going on, because Eventually, they're going to work this program that they're working, and they're going to take our lands. They're going to take our property from us. You know, can you imagine them going into not only taking the churches, but taking the members of the church's property, saying, you don't need this anymore. Oh, we're coming in to rescue you because it was a wildfire and it destroyed everything.
Right.
It's a serious open door, you know, to all of these negative types of events and things like that that are happening.
Yeah, you okay, look, talking about Ahab, Oprah, and Jezebel the Rock. They collectively, between the two of them, donated $10 million to a fundraiser company. Wow. Claiming that, oh, we're gonna donate, we've donated $10 million, we're excellent, you know, outstanding citizens, and we just want to give back to the people of Maui. We want to put directly back into their hands. But what people are not seeing is the entity, the corporation or whatever it is that's set up to receive this donation money. I forget what the name of it is, but the top 10 or 13 people, you have the chief executive officer, the chief financial officer, you have all these CEO somethings. Those guys, I read a report on this, they're all like the top 10 people are making over $100,000 a year. In fact, the last guy is making like 126. So everyone's making over that. Like the CEO is making like two or 300,000 a year.
Wow.
And it's just a board of these guys, and they have a couple of volunteers, you know, so they're paying the people that actually do the work, you know, in distributing what's left of this money that trickles down. This $10 million is literally going to these bigwig salaries, and it's not going to, and it's all their buddies. It's all their buddies. It's all their friends in this thing. So it's like, the illusion is, oh, look, everyone, we're donating $10 million.
Use the good word, illusion.
Yes.
It is an illusion.
Yep. It's Satan's, one of his greatest tactics. Smoke and mirrors. It's unbelievable. And like you said, there's this stupid unification of all the religions in the name of goodness. And it's like, look, I get it. Okay, Jesus sat down with the tax collectors and the sinners, which is today's equivalent of the Biden administration, right? He's sitting down with them eating, but he wasn't doing it to coexist.
No,
to smoke the peace pipe, as you put it so well. He did it to draw them unto him, the only way to God. And I think people lose sight of that. They like to, you know, cite things Jesus did, but they don't have the right understanding of why he did what he did.
It's definitely twisted in their understanding and how they relate to people.
Yeah.
You look, when you go back to Biden being with Obama, I've always said that was a strategic move on Obama's part. One, to secure his legacy of being able to do 8 years without being assassinated, because I know they kept saying that he was going to get assassinated. So they had to really think about what they were doing when they put him up there. I think if he would have had Hillary Clinton be his vice president, they would have took Obama out.
Yeah, right.
They would have took him out. But
yeah,
knowing how corrupt Biden is, and they're similar in nature, as far as their perversions, it's the perfect negative demonic scenario that's playing itself out. And now they're starting to run all types of TikTok clips and Facebook memes about Obama saying he would be happy to have a third term. And when you look at what's going on with Biden, he's getting his third term. because Biden is doing everything that he would have done, and no one's questioning him about it. No one's telling Biden, don't do
Right.
this, don't do that. They're just allowing him to go. Even the Republicans.
Yeah.
You're not fighting him in any kind of way.
Nope.
I think that's one of the most frustrating things about looking at politics and how things line themselves up, because the people who should be standing for truth, justice, and the American way are silent.
Yeah.
Are silent.
Yeah.
And they're permitting this lawlessness to take place.
Yes. They're coming into agreement with it because all the establishment has to do is take out a few of them that are doing something about it.
Mhm.
And that instills the fear in everybody else, and then they don't touch it. Wherefore, they are coming into agreement with it by, being like a sheep led to the slaughter.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole system has everyone so dependent on the handouts, so programmed by the system that if you step out of line, we're going to take this and we're going to take that. And people are it's sad. They're so desperate and so dependent on the handouts that it's like, oh, no, I'll yield to the lie. Just don't take.
And the whole time they're losing.
Yeah.
They're losing. Their future generations are losing.
Yeah, they're going to take anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
We
Chris,
are fulfilling patterns of the Roman Empire, whether people want to accept it or not.
wow. Yeah. That's a good point.
Their political leaders went corrupt. They started doing all the gay rights and homosexual rights. They didn't call it transgender and LGBTQ back then, but they was doing some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Inside of the government. And eventually it got to the place where they were telling people, you don't need to work, we'll take care of you.
Yep.
It's crazy. I never ever in my life thought I would see the stuff that's going on today. That's going on.
You got that right. Wow. Well, let me say it this way. There's like an exponential growth in the amount of craziness. And it was a little back then, like it's always been, but it's grown at such an exponential rate as the times get closer and closer to the end. Because the Bible says that Satan fell from heaven like lightning, and he's filled with fury because he knows his time is short.
Yeah.
So of course he's going to exponentially increase his evil works in everything that he's doing. That's why we're seeing this huge influx of insanity and total evil. And do you remember when God spoke through Pastor Barbara and said, and I can't quote it because I don't remember exactly, but it was something to do with, if there's a woman president, it's going to be the destruction of the nation. And I don't mean that in any kind of way. It's just that's what was said. So,
oh yeah, I definitely remember that. I remember Benny Hinn prophesying the same thing, Dimitri Duduman prophesying the same thing, and William Branham.
Wow.
So,
yep.
Benny Hinn is flaky,
right.
But Duduman, William Branham, Pastor Barber, real solid sources, consistent, have character, haven't done any dumb stuff. So,
you see, I was thinking about this like 2 weeks ago, and I thought, when God was saying that, it was back in the previous elections when there was the threat of Hillary Clinton winning the presidency, and everybody thought it was that. It was that, but
they were so pissed that she didn't win.
Yeah,
I mean, they just knew it. They just knew that she had won, and they were going to take the whole world over.
Yep. I watched a video, Chris, where they showed people's reactions, including hers, when she found out. It was bad. I'm talking about like, did the angel come and unlock the abyss here? Because did I miss something? Because whoa, boy. But anyway, yeah. So my thing is, has that ended? Because Kamala Harris just made a statement at the Southeast Asian Nations Summit a couple weeks ago, and she said, "I may have to take over for President
What?
Biden." Yeah, and she's prepared to
What?
do so. Yep. Yeah. And
Oh
then
my
that thought
God.
triggered in my mind, and I said, "Oh no, 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 no! We
Uh-oh.
can't do this. Can't have that."
No, it's not
Yep.
over. That's still lingering in the background.
Oh man.
That is still lingering in the background. And I think because my own personal opinion is because these older prophets saw it, before the new flaky ones have arrived on the scene and are seeing it, it's something that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, because the enemy loves to take things out of our remembrance, especially things God says, and stuff happens, and then we're wondering like, what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah.
But God already spoke about it. We just forgot. Sometimes that's how it happens. But
We haven't changed as a nation. We're still doing the dumb stuff that we're doing as a nation. The church hasn't changed. We are so interested in having meetings, running revivals, gathering people, and we have no interest in God whatsoever. It looks like God. It looks like it's going to be things that will benefit God and are quote unquote godly. But these people is in it for the crowds, in it for the fame and the notoriety. Come to my church because we got revival here. When you get the chest all puffed out.
yeah.
I've got God's still right here.
Yep. It's glowing, in fact.
Yes. And if you get close to me, I'll put a little bit on you. You can take it back to your church.
Right. For a small donation.
Yes, for a small, that's it.
Of $10,000. Oh man, just give me your property in your house. Just give me the deed. All of that.
Yep. Hey, we're doing everything like Acts did. Just give us all your stuff. One big church.
Yeah.
Whatever
Did you hold
need,
back
just
part
come
of
to
these
us, we'll
profits?
give it to you. Come to us, we'll give it to you.
Yeah. Yep.
Come on under this big umbrella.
Yeah, the blue umbrella. Oh man, that's too much. So I have to show you this because it's kind of a lengthy clip. It's about 5 minutes.
Okay.
But I watched this, Chris, and I was in shock. I was in disbelief. But I want to share this because I feel it's important for people to watch and see this is what our government is doing in the face of a natural disaster emergency where people have lost their homes, people have lost loved ones, people are in the worst, lowest low of their lives,
Yeah.
and they need help. They have nowhere to live. They're just out in the elements with nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine, like, oh my goodness, I lost everything. I need a driver's license. I need my social security card. I need my birth certificate.
Dag.
How you gonna get any of those without any of it?
Yeah. And the computer system that we could pull this from has been burnt up because it
Yes.
wasn't blue.
Right.
But yeah, you don't think about that,
Right.
I lost my social security card and didn't know it. For years I carried that thing in my wallet, and when I needed it, it wasn't there. So you got to go through this whole process in order to get a new social security card. I cannot imagine not having an ID, not
Right.
having a license. You know your driver's license number. Sorry, we can't do nothing for you. We can't.
Yeah. No. And even if you did, we'll send it to you in the mail.
Yeah.
My house is gone. I don't have a mailbox. I don't even know where I am on the street.
We're not delivering mail because it's the road to deliver.
Right? Yes. but the blue mailboxes will be standing on the side of the road.
I think I'm gonna give me some blue paint and outline my house.
Yeah, yes, paint the roof blue, call it a day. But anyway, so that was the mentality that I wanted to have, people have fresh in their minds when they watch this video, because this is what our elected government officials that are being paid off have chosen to do with our tax dollars. So I'm gonna share my screen again and play this video here. Let's see. All right, here we go. Oh, might help if I unmute it first. Sorry. There we go.
Your friends and family members were being laid off, your neighbors were defaulting, and Americans were drowning in debt. And when our government wasn't bailing out the banks, they were in Vegas partying. The Obama administration's GSA, the General Services Administration, which nobody even knows what they do, spent almost $1 million for a weekend conference on the Strip. While you were at work, government bureaucrats were spending your tax dollars popping champagne.
Is he in a hot tub?
Being smoking clowns,
Oh my God.
doing Napa Valley cab in a bubble bath in a room with a view. The government spent almost $1 million on a Vegas pool party during the Great Recession. Have they learned anything? It doesn't look like it. After fire raged through Maui, Hawaii, leaving 115 dead, 850 Americans missing, hundreds of which are kids, for what's the deadliest wildfire in U.S. history in over a century, the government is once again disrespecting us. According to a report and photos obtained by the Daily Mail, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the team that's supposed to be digging through the ashes and delivering aid, has turned the tragedy into a junket. FEMA booked themselves in the 5-star luxury Hawaiian resorts, relaxing at the cocktail bar, knocking back drinks, 45 minutes away from Lahaina, the city consumed by an inferno. They're shacking up at the Maui Four Seasons, beachfront, of course. Rooms there are $1,000 a night. The presidential suite goes for $29,000 a night. We sure hope they're not staying there. Hopefully, FEMA officials aren't getting spot treatments like the $225 one at the Lomi Mohala Massage. We pray they're not poolside sipping Laurent Perrier champagne. Since there's nothing to celebrate, the Mai Tai at the Maui Four Seasons is $32, gratuity not included. Now, we have boots on the ground there on the island. Spies tell us that they may have seen a FEMA foursome enjoying 18 holes in the Robert Trent Jones II design course.
They better not have been playing golf.
Not just the Four Seasons.
Oh my God, no.
They're posting up at the Fairmont, Key Lani, and Maui.
It's bad,
where
Chris.
rooms range there from $1,300 to $4,500 a night. Scuba, surf, and paddle lessons are not complimentary. Neither are the sunset Pilates classes. Do you have to stay limber to hold the leash of your cadaver dog? I don't know. FEMA agents are also crashing at the Grand where hula, ukulele, and snorkel lessons set you back. But the Mohalu Healing Garden and Beauty Lab, oh, it's a must. Are these the hotels Biden's FEMA officials should be staying in, gallivanting around in and drinking in, as search and rescue operations are underway with 500 kids still missing? Now, FEMA has confirmed that they're staying at these hotels, but they won't tell us how much they're paying. They mumbled something about a government rate, and they appeared vague and defensive. Biden's giving Maui fire victims $700, while his FEMA officials sleep at luxury resorts that cost more than that per night. Are these the only hotels that were available? I mean, we understand it's a small island and it's chaotic, but the 5-star resorts 45 minutes away weren't the only options. FEMA officials could stay at the Days Inn, where you could get an oceanfront view for $250 a night. We confirmed it. Rooms are still available.
Ouch.
Days Inn isn't a bad spot.
Ouch.
Therapy sessions at the Four Seasons offered, but logistically and financially, it seems to make sense. If FEMA wanted to respect the American taxpayer as well as the Hawaiian people, Expedia shows plenty of Airbnbs for less than $200 a night. Now, when did FEMA develop this taste for the finer things in life? Because FEMA's administrator, Deanne Criswell, is complaining that they don't have enough money.
We're watching our disaster relief fund very closely. Our estimates do still stay that we may have a depletion of our fund now. I mean, this is a day-by-day monitoring of the situation. We will start to move some of our recovery projects and delay them until the next fiscal year.
Whoa, FEMA has a $25 billion budget. Now, Deanne, who gets paid 180 grand a year, is saying FEMA's close to running out of funds and they'll have to delay operations if Congress doesn't immediately send them billions of dollars. Now, if I were Diane and
What a scam.
I wouldn't have to delay emergency operations, I might not have hundreds of my employees staying at $1,300 a night luxury hotels overlooking a city burnt to the ground with toddlers unaccounted for. This entire tragedy was preventable, and now the government's using it as an excuse to dine out in style. The corrupt Hawaiian Electric Company neglected to clear the highly flammable grass underneath their downed power lines. Emergency crews refused to set off the emergency sirens because they thought the sirens would confuse people. And then the water commissioner wouldn't share the water with the fire company because water equity means indigenous plants get the water. Fine.
Wow.
This colossal confidence and ridiculous ideology and disrespect is now coupled with an embarrassing federal response that make freeloaders look prudent. Great Recession, you're
there it is.
That sucks, bro.
Yeah, it is bad. I couldn't believe. Now, in the first part of that video, they're talking about the Obama administration when something happened in Vegas. It might have been that shooting or something, whatever it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a mass shooting.
Yeah, yeah. And they're doing the same thing. So they've been doing the same thing for years, and then it gets reported on, and people see it, and nothing happens. And somehow people are shocked when you tell them that your government is this corrupt.
Yes.
They do it in plain sight, out in the open, and they don't even care about it. They don't care who knows about it.
No.
Because money talks. Unbelievable.
And I think, I believe that, again, you know, they're doing things intentionally to break the system. And I think, again, this is tied to the Antichrist spirit. We're get out, devil.
Right. No, I agree. This is totally as Antichrist written all over it. This is his footprint.
We're going to make things so bad, so corrupt, that people are just going to give up and lose hope. And they're not going to try to fight us anymore. You know,
Right.
They had this saying a long time ago, you can't fight City Hall. And people have succumbed, died to that thought process. Well, it's the government. I may as well just give it up and not do anything with it. So again, all of these governments that are around the world that are dark, which let me go back to some of the African countries that are mad because they keep sending Kamala Harris over there because she's trying to push the LGBTQ community or the LGBTQ agenda in those African countries, and they're looking at her laughing, saying, "We're not gay. We're not having this mess over here.
Right.
You cannot produce families with same-sex relationships. We're trying to promote the family. We're trying to promote men and women getting married, having children. We don't want this program over there."
Right.
So the good part about that is that there are some countries who are trying to live what we would call holy, but there's so many more that aren't, and they're banding together. What I see is a big line being drawn in the sand, and it's kind of like, if you're for God, you step on this side over here. If you're for the enemy, you step on the other side over there. And it's like a switch has been flipped in the spirit realm to cause everybody to just draw to their particular side, whether they realize it or not. And all of these dark people, are bound under this lawlessness spirit. And because they're bound under this lawlessness spirit, they're doing whatever they're being told to do.
Yes.
They don't have to love. They can operate in hate. They can operate in greed and corruption, and everything's fine. What I don't think a lot of people realize is how deep Hillary Clinton was into witchcraft.
Yes.
Some of the things that they talked about, them drinking the blood and get into other stuff that it's too dark to talk about. But that stuff's still going on. So I believe that she's still doing her incantations and curses and everything against the country, tied together with, the Antichrist spirit that's in Biden and the lawlessness that's in him. We have a lot that we have to fight against.
Yeah. And I like how you brought up, I can't remember if you said it on the show previously or if we had talked about it elsewhere. I think it was on the show, but you had said that because Biden is the president over this nation, his sins, his evil influence, the demons within him,
Yes.
affect the whole entire nation.
Yes.
And your scriptural reference was, when God had punished David for his sin, and the angel was let loose from Dan to Beersheba, start killing them.
Yeah.
70,000 some people died, and David's like, "God, this is my sin, man. Take it out on me and my house." So that whole principle, and you also added on that because Biden is from Delaware, it's like there's an extra stronghold over our state.
Yes.
Within the problems of his the demonic influence in him over the nation. It's like it's double down over Delaware. That's why it's so dark and all this crazy stuff happening. And
I don't think we've ever seen it be this dark. Even when Biden was the vice president, there was like a level of darkness that came, but because he's like the head of the I hate to say this, of the entire world, all of those demons are just like run into him, run into us, and it's a free-for-all in the spirit realm. Destroy everything you possibly can destroy as fast as you can, because we don't know how long. This is the thing that I think is neat. We don't know how long we're going to be there.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We know President Trump is coming, but
right.
we don't know how long he's going to be there, because these people are going to wake up and they're going to say, "Dag it, we've been tricked."
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Boy, would that be a pleasant surprise.
Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be.
Yep. And talking about that, I'm gonna pull a Neil here. so in my book,
that is a good book, though.
It's called Into the Enemy's Camp.
You can see it.
And in this book, it describes the difference between and the functions of, you have demons, you have fallen angels, you have the Nephilim, you have like God's holy angels, you have ghosts, quote unquote ghosts. It explains what each of these are, what their function is, where they originated from, how they differ from each other, and what their assignments are on this earth. And it uses biblical reference to explain all these different things. But I'm saying this because people need to understand that we are always dealing with the powers, the principalities, the rulers of wickedness in spiritual places. You have the angels that fell by leaving their first abode in Genesis 6. They had relations with human women Angels took the form of humans, impregnated women, all that stuff in Genesis 6. You have those as the fallen angels. They're bound up until the final day. They're under the earth, they're locked up in judgment, and they're reserved there until the final day. We're not going to see them again because they're locked up. But the thing of it is, when these fallen angels had relations with human women and produced offspring that were giants known as Nephilim, those are your biblical King Og of Bashan. There's a couple others. When they went to was it Joshua and Caleb, and they were checking out the land and they saw giants there that descended from Anak. Then they were Nephilim giants, and because they had the gene, there's a whole thing here with genetics. All these, demonic Nephilim giants and stuff, and then God was like, the whole world is full of evil, every heart is wicked. It repenteth me that I made mankind, right? And then he sent the flood, and only Noah and it was, and his family was found righteous, so he spared them in his mercy. But the way that human genetics work is they get passed down through generations. You have epigenetic modification, which is a thing where your genes can slowly change through the generations over time. You have dormant genes. Not that they were polluted with evil Nephilim DNA or anything like that, but they were part of a world. You had all his sons, you had all their wives. They still had the DNA that was going on and being passed down through all this Nephilim giant evil stuff. And so that explains why there's still giants after the flood.
Yes.
Because
think about this, Brett. When these people start doing their witchcraft, which there's a dramatic increase in the level of witchcraft in the world right now. Are they, and this is a question, I don't know the answer. If you know it, say it. Are they changing or sparking that dormant DNA tissue and causing all of this evil inside of us, the world, to come up? Because they're saying the right potion, or they're saying the right set of phrases. We've talked about this before with the CERN. They're trying to collide some atoms because they want to open up the bottomless pit and let the demons.
Yeah, they've said that. Real
witchcraft going on in some of the scientific communities who are not led by the Spirit.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, Chris. They're playing God with the knowledge that's been given to them by the fallen angels. If you read the book of Enoch, it explains what each fallen angel did. Like, one taught the dividing of roots, another one taught astrology, how to read astrological signs. The other one taught them how to make weapons. The other one taught them how to do, beautification, makeup, paint your face and body and stuff like that. They were introducing supernatural knowledge to a very underdeveloped society at that point in time. So they were like gods to these people because they had all this infinite wisdom, that God gave them, and they illegally shared, because they fell into sin at that point.
I think it stirred up desires inside of people that we normally would not have. If you look at some of the people, I know several people who have tattoos. God bless you. Not coming against you, but once you start down that path, that road, there's like something that gets stirred up inside of you. I got to get another one. I got to get another one. I got to get another one. Same thing with the piercings. I'm going to pierce my nose. I'm going to pierce my nipples. I'm going to pierce 13 in my ears, in my earlobes. I'm going to get some in my neck. Now I'm not satisfied with that. I'm going to cut my tongue and split it so it can look like a snake. It just continues. This has to be tied to the DNA. I believe that these are things that were being done way back in Genesis 6, like you were talking about. Maybe they didn't have the language, or they didn't think it was necessary to write down for everybody to see. Maybe there's books out there where they did write, or they drew pictures and showed what people were doing. But
Right.
if you go to Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing.
Right.
Everything, all of this stuff has been done time and time again. And we go through these purging cycles where God cleansed the earth, starts over, gets a new set of people, burns up the ones who ain't going to listen, and it just goes all the way through those different cycles. And I think we're at the end of a cycle. Pastor Barber said we started a new 40-year dispensation.
Yes.
But the other side of that is what's ending, and it's getting bigger and darker. When you look at lawlessness, to be lawless is to be contrary to the law or to act without regard to the law. Laws are necessary in a sinful world. 1 Timothy 1:9, and those who choose to act lawlessly further sin in the world. The word for lawlessness in the Bible is often translated iniquity. According to the Bible, the root of all lawlessness is rebellion. I feel the rebellion in the atmosphere.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to fight against being rebellious myself. Just being honest, because it's so heavy, so thick. It's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to conform. I'm not going to live holy. And it's an active fight every day.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because people need to realize that you can be saved and born again, but you're still going to fight. You're still going to fight whatever's in the atmosphere. Yeah.
It's good that you brought out what you brought out in your book, and make sure you give a link so everybody can buy it. Is it on Amazon?
It is on Amazon. Yep. It's called Into the Enemy's Camp. And it explains all that stuff, and it breaks down exactly what the enemy's end game plan is. The enemy does actually have a seed, a line of descendants.
Yes.
It's in Genesis 3.
Yes.
And you can look it up. And
I think we're actively fighting these people, because and this is, I can't remember the name. I think it's Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
The guy that talks about this. He was like, we don't take the time to fathom what it is to be dark. And he was saying it from the perspective that what I got out of it was, these people are constantly thinking about how much evil they can create, how much evil they can do. And we're not aware of that. I'm a very naive person when it comes to certain things. And until it hits me in the face like that was cruel.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about being cruel. The normal person is not thinking about being cruel or evil to somebody else. So when it comes and it touches you, it's like, wow, how could you be so heartless?
Right. It's a display of evil that can't easily be conceived of. Unless, like he said, you literally have to meditate on that. But then it's like, man, you don't want to sit there and meditate about trying to conceive of all this evil. You open yourself up to all kinds of stuff doing that.
Yeah. But in order to not be tricked or deceived, to be prepared, he made a good point, but it was just like, I had never ever thought about, just this world's dark. This world's dark, and can't wait till we get out of here. And I know people don't like you saying that. I can't wait to be raptured out of here. I'm going in the rapture. So, and I believe that the rapture is pre-tribulation. And if you guys want to enjoy that and stay here through the mid-trib and the post-trib, God bless your soul.
Right.
There's too much evidence in the Bible that says it's going to be pre-tribulation.
Yes.
I just set somebody on fire right now.
Oh yeah, I could see. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're wearing blue or not. They're smoking.
Uh,
Yeah.
1 John 3:4 defines sin as lawlessness. Everyone who sins breaks the law. In fact, sin is lawlessness. To commit sin is to be lawless. That is, the sinner breaks God's law. In this way, lawlessness is a rejection of God. Satan, who models the ultimate rejection of God, will one day empower the Antichrist, called the lawless one, whose rise to power will be in accordance with how Satan works. That's according to 2 Thessalonians 2:9. So, again, in the background, we have all of these people prepare the way of the Lord Satan, prepare the way of Lord Satan. While the church is saying, prepare ye the way of the Lord, he's coming back. There are people, the seed of Satan, like you talked about earlier, that are trying to prepare the way for Satan to come back and do his thing in this earth. And this is what this lawlessness atmosphere is all about. Lawlessness is contrasted with righteousness in verses such as Romans 6:19, 2 Corinthians 6:14, and Hebrews 1:9. The righteous who have the nature of Jesus Christ hate the deeds of lawlessness. Lot, a godly man living in Sodom, was tormented in his righteous soul by the lawless deeds he saw and heard. 2 Peter 2:8. The psalmist said, I abhor the assembly of evildoers and refuse to sit with the wicked. Psalms 26:5. Christians are to be law abiding. 1 Peter 4:15. Now, when a society ignores the law, lawlessness is the result, and chaos ensues. The time of the judges after Joshua's death was marked by upheaval, oppression, and general disorder. The biblical historian puts his finger on the reason for the tumult. In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit. Everyone did as they saw fit. Judges 21:25. Now, the riot in Ephesus is a good example of lawlessness in action. Acts 19. The rioters were confused and unsure even of why they were rioting. Verse 32. In their lawlessness, they were ignoring proper legal channels and, of course, breaking the law. Now, recently, I think there was a rapper who was giving away PlayStation 22s, and he did this in New York, and all of these kids were mad and angry because they ran out. They stopped giving them. So they decided to tear some of the streets in New York up.
Wow.
Just not happy that they may have had the opportunity to get this PlayStation 22. Nope, we didn't get it, so we're going to tear everything up. This is the mob mentality. I'm gonna get in the crowd and do whatever you want. And see, you Christian person, you think you're going to these events and you're just going to be safe and you're not going to get caught up in this. If you're not careful, you can be in these crowds and you're looting and you're like, Dad, I didn't plan on doing this, but okay, I'm going to run with it.
Yep.
I'm going to run with this looting experience.
And you'll be the first one caught too. Yeah.
So you got to be careful of the atmosphere around about you. You got to evaluate yourself. You got to be making sure that you've not taken on someone else's offense.
Right.
You got to be sure that you're not getting caught up in the crowd, because you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time and mess yourself up good.
That's the truth. Absolute truth. It's amazing because I like how you said that, mob mentality. I also call it the follow the leader syndrome, because now I saw this happen once. This was a while ago, but I watched this happen, and it proved my theory in that instance of the follow the leader mentality. We were at a stoplight, and the guy in front, like, ran through the yellow light, which, sometimes it's like,
Yep.
I don't condone doing that, but so your weight versus your speed and the wet roads, you're going to cause an accident by trying to stop. So you
Yes.
might as well just go through it. But then the second guy didn't really have any kind of excuse. He pretty much ran the red light.
Yes. I get mad at the fifth guy who comes through.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the thing. The third guy wasn't paying attention. He's just following the guy. And everybody was just following the person in front of them, not even looking that the light was red. The other people are just laying on their horns like, what are you doing?
Yep.
And I guarantee you, if everyone just followed the leader, that one lane would just keep going and going and going until
Yes.
some kind of mass police scene intervention took place. But that's just it. And that, whenever we go out anymore, I am always watching, and I'm always I notice that people just walk around the stores staring at their cell phones. And it's
Yes.
like they are so not aware of their surroundings. They're not
Yes.
paying attention to anything that's going on. You could just go, Chris, I'm telling you, I knew a guy that was going through a gun training course, and he was telling me that they were instructing him about the 21-foot zone. And
Wow.
that is your danger zone, he called it. Because believe it or not, 21 feet sounds like a pretty big distance, but in actuality, if you're in some kind of confrontational deadly weapon situation, 21 feet is not that long for somebody to literally lunge at you or to immediately pull out a gun and point it at you,
Yeah.
or even just lunge at you with a knife or anything like that. Your response time with the adrenaline, the fear, the heightened, amplified senses, it's so difficult to properly do whatever you need to do in that situation. The 21 feet is nothing, and it's your danger zone. And they even did target practice at 21 feet so that your brain could register this firing distance is the danger zone.
Yep.
And it was interesting. But my point in bringing all that up is whenever we go out anymore, I keep my phone in my pocket, and I'm trying to pay attention to my surroundings. Who's around me? What are they doing? What's going on? Where are the exits? That's the first thing I do when I go into any type of a building or an office or anything. Where are the emergency exits? So I know immediately, go down this hallway, take a left, boom, out the back door. And just because you never know if there's going to be some kind of crazy thing, and I feel responsible to protect my family when we're out and about.
Yeah.
So I want to have that foreknowledge. I want to have that insight. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll never use it. Great.
It's the times that we live in right now, because even innocently, I think at one point in time, this has probably been a number of years ago, people would go into movie theaters and somebody went in and shot the movie theater up.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about that. You're in a relaxed state, relaxed mode. I'm just gonna, escape for a moment, and you're in a situation where you could lose your life because you're not paying attention to what's going on. Should these people be here?
Right.
You have to ask that question. People would call it racial profiling, but do they actually belong here? What's this old man doing here?
Right.
In this particular situation, or what are these young people doing here? Something ain't right. I'm going to be a little guarded, a little extra cautious as to what's going on. I was at my foot doctor's, and the receptionist was telling me that she was out in the yard with her son, and she was planting flowers, and this woman pulls up in a car, and she says, "Hey, aren't you the lady that decorates for Halloween every year?" And she was like, yeah, what of it? Why don't you come over to my car? I got some Halloween decorations for you. And she said instantly she felt like, wow, something's wrong. So she told her son, get in the backyard. And she said, oh, you don't need to tell your son to get in the backyard. The car was blacked out, couldn't see in the windows. And she quickly had to the thought, let me call my husband. Couldn't get her husband. Let me call my neighbors. She called her neighbors and said, hey, there's something strange coming over here, going on over here. Can you come out here real quick? They were home. They came out, and the lady said, well, why don't just come on over here to the car and I'll give you this stuff. And she said, something told her, no, don't do it. So the lady got the stuff out of the car, set it on the ground, and she said, okay, I just wanted to hook you up with these, these Halloween gifts. And she was like, I don't need this. I don't need this. So she left. Like 10 minutes later, she came back, and it was another person in the car that she couldn't see. So she doesn't know if she was about to be abducted. They were going to clunk her in the head and take her kid.
Yep.
It could have happened so quick, and we have to be aware of everything that's going on. She could be a statistic today if she wasn't thinking about what's, this doesn't feel right. Don't ignore those signs.
Absolutely.
Don't ignore those feelings.
Yeah, absolutely right. Too many people that have been the statistic spend the rest of their lives wishing that they could have done one thing differently.
Yep.
And we have that opportunity to heed that intuition, that unction, that feeling.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if people say you're crazy, if they tell you you're wrong, oh, you're overreacting.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep.
When it comes to my family's safety, I will gladly overreact.
Yeah.
And follow these gut feelings, whether they're right or not, because
we're going to be alive.
Yeah, exactly. And together.
Yep.
Yep. I tell my kids all the time, you better stay right by me where I can see you. You don't go running out that door first. Yep.
That's funny because when me and Catherine first got married, I would tell them, I said, sometimes I have secret information, and if something goes down, you better answer your phone, because me and Catherine is packing up and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And if you don't know to meet me in such and such place because you chose not to answer your phone, you're just getting left. You're getting left. And
yeah,
it took them a while to understand what I was talking about.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't know if they fully do, but it's that critical. If you get that word, we need to evacuate because the hurricane's coming. We need to go to Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. I'm getting in my car and I'm going to Maryland.
Right. Yeah. I don't have time for you to argue with your boyfriend about what's going on.
Exactly.
This train's leaving the station at 9 o'clock sharp.
Exactly.
Chris, I gotta tell you, I did this one time. I think them kids are still mad at me. So I got this fake emergency broadcast video.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good one too. And it's talking about, it does the sounds and the little emergency alert system, whatever they call it now. And it's like, warning, nuclear missiles have been detected, launched over the continental US. And a couple of targets are New York, Washington, D.C., and all this stuff. And, there's some of them have been intercepted and we don't know where the other ones are going.
Wow.
And so I played this, I had it on my cell phone and I was screencasting it to our smart TV in the living room. And some of them are sitting there like just watching TV, and the other one's on her tablet and they're just sitting there. And all this, so I play it and the thing goes off, and I kind of nonchalantly walk by and I'm like, well, what's that? So I'm sitting there watching, and then it talks about like the warning, 10, 15 minutes. It's got a little timer on it. Talking about nuclear bombs getting ready to hit the country. And now, mind you, a little backstory real quick. I've been teaching them and training them and preparing them for like having a bug out bag, in case we have to leave, guys. Get, you have like basic supplies for 24 hours. I have a bag that's good for 72 hours. We have our water, just basic things. So that if you're traveling or if you have to go somewhere, you have something to last you a couple days, whereas you'd be better off than most other people.
Yeah.
So Mind you, all that's in the background. Now, fast forward again to this thing, they see the nuclear bomb thing and stuff, and they're looking at me, and Nancy is like in on it, and she's like, oh no. She's like, all right, I'll grab the purple folder, which has like our stuff in it, you know, all the important documents and everything that we were talking about earlier. So the kids knew that it was serious, and they were like, oh no. But they actually did really well.
Oh, cool.
They actually did really well. Shocked, surprised at first, running around. And I said, all right, guys, grab your bug out bag. And you know, some of them had to get dressed. Some of them had to grab some. Paul was smart though. He grabbed all the phone chargers. He said, I've got all the phone chargers because I know we're going to need to charge our phone.
Wow.
And I would have forgotten that. I would have grabbed the phone and everything and forgotten the chargers and been kicking myself. Here I am, the prepper guy, forgetting the most basic need.
Go, Paul. Get the A for today.
He sure did. So everybody, believe it or not, Chris, was out of the house and in the truck, everything packed in less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yep.
Man, that's good, bro.
It was so good. I've said, I am so proud of you guys. Like y'all just nailed it. It was our first test. And our older daughter, teenager, she was so heated. We're in the truck and I'm getting ready to drive off, and we're still keeping it going, like even like driving off a little bit down the road. And she's like, Nancy's like, should we go to your mom and dad's house? And I was like, it's a long shot, but yeah, let's try it. You know, it depends on if there's a nuke going off in DC and the bridge is out, you know, up north or something. We drive down and Nancy's like, I grabbed the wrong phone. So
oh no.
Yeah, I forgot the chargers. She grabbed the wrong phone that wasn't in service. Bless Paul. But anyway, so I drove around the house because I didn't want to keep it going too far. So, and as we were driving around in a circle, our oldest daughter, she's like, so this better not be some kind of a prank or some kind of a test. And I said, well, actually, she goes, Dad. She didn't talk to me the rest of the night, grabbed her stuff, went right upstairs. I said, but I smoothed it over later. I promised them that I would not do that to them again.
Yeah.
Without letting them know it was a drill. Yeah, but
that was good.
Yep.
You never know until you go through.
Yeah, that's the truth. You just don't know. And you know, I learned that I have to go through my bags again because, you know, you put stuff in it over time and then your bag gets full, it's heavy, and then you have 2 bags and then you have 4 bags. And, you know, it's like, come on. But it's good to know that. It's good to be prepared, I feel, in that aspect. So yeah, it was interesting. It was fun. Yep.
We'll be ready. We'll be ready for when lawlessness hits in its fullness.
Yeah,
you know, we are going to be seeing more and more violent acts take place. In the area that we live in, there is a small. It used to be a military community, but it's actually turned into a lot of Section 8 housing, a lot of older housing. And the state has built a nature trail next to this house. Well, a couple of weeks ago, they found that someone had been murdered on this trail. So they still haven't released any details or any information, but here this is right next to this residential area. You just never know anymore what it takes to be safe, what it takes to walk in a semblance of peace, you know, and all the stuff that we talked about tonight, that we don't want you to get into a place where you're fearful or afraid, but you need to know that these are things that are biblical. You need to know that these are things that are going to be going on. And the more information you know about
the better off you are going to be, the better off you'll be able to help your family, and it keeps you from being afraid. I remember at my previous job, we trained for these types of things. We had different trainings, active shooter trainings, things like that, in order to be able to get over that big adrenaline rush. Because when your adrenaline kicks in, you get superpowers, but you also get stupid.
Yes. Yes.
You get stupid, and if you don't learn how to work through that, you're gonna make some pretty big mistakes.
Absolutely.
Some pretty big mistakes. So.
Yep. I hate to do this again, but in my book, walk. Well, sorry.
Ew.
It's good. Yeah. Surprise. It's called Walking in the Light. If I can get the glare off of it, it's a glossy book cover. It's called Walking in the Light, Setting the Captives Free. It's a nice big forest picture
I
on the
like
front.
that. That's nice.
Thank you. This book right here will teach you how to not only set yourself free from these influences and urges and desires that you may have inside that are counterproductive and unhealthy and evil in nature. It will also teach you, because many of us are called to reach out to others. Many of us are called to set other people free with what we have been given. And this teaches you exactly how to do that. It teaches you how to dissect a person's emotions that are at times uncontrollable. It teaches you how to tap into the Holy Spirit. Well, it teaches you to work with the Holy Spirit to set people free, to break these bondages, habits and cycles and patterns that you can't get out of, that you witness other people going through. It teaches you how to reprogram your mindset. Somewhere we're believing something that's untrue, and it's causing us to live in these repetitive cycles. And this teaches you how to deprogram those mindsets, to unplug those lies. And it teaches you the truth of the word in each of those areas for each of those different types of emotions. How to really get your mind set free so that you can actually make progress and keep and retain progress, which is a big thing that a lot of people feel that they can't do. So that's called Walking in the Light, Setting Captives Free. That's on Amazon. All these books are available paperback or ebook, whatever's easier. You can read it on anything. And I feel that's helpful in that context of getting us set free from this evil and being free ourselves, that we can turn around and minister to these people. Because I know what you're talking about, that guy that was dumped off there. He had blunt force trauma wounds.
Couldn't think of what it was. Yes, but violent. Violent act.
And it's over the dumbest, stupidest things. I'm just bewildered because I've learned recently they call it Doverdelphia now.
Yes, you know why?
It's
crept down here. Philadelphia has crept down here.
Yep.
And even the gangs from Wilmington are in Dover.
Yeah.
They're looking to expand their territories and their areas of influence.
Yeah.
It's tied to the drugs, but it's definitely the gangs.
Yep. And it's like, it's so unsettling when it's right in your backyard, and then it's right at your front door.
Yeah.
Sorry, but 5 mile radius is my front door.
Yeah.
They're on my porch.
Yeah.
It's bad. And you really have to be close to God. You really have to be paying attention and being aware of different things, because anytime now, Chris, like if somebody cuts me off on the road, if somebody just straight up is like a jerk, I just let him go. I let it go because it is not worth it.
Pull over and let them.
Yep.
Go on by me.
Yep.
I was coming back from the hospital today, and I got up there by Del Tech, and the light changed yellow, and I said, I got plenty of time to stop. And there was nobody behind me,
So I got stopped, and all of a sudden I hear, "Screw," and I'm looking up in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, God, please don't let this guy hit me.
Oh, right.
He's
Yeah.
gonna hit me.
Oh, man.
And he's like fishtailing, trying to get himself stopped. And I'm like, all you had to do, instead of switching lanes from the person in front of you, like the following thing you was talking about, stop your vehicle.
Right.
I think he thought he was going to go around this guy and then realize that I stopped.
Oh, yep.
So as soon as the light changed green, I pulled immediately over to the shoulder because I said, you got to go wherever you need to go because you're not going to kill me today. And
Right.
I let 8,000 cars go by.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to be at peace. I'm going to be at peace.
Yep.
You're not going to push me down the road.
Right.
If you have to be in that much of a hurry to do something, I don't want to be in your way.
Nope.
I
It's
don't
not
want to
worth
be in
it.
your way. Nope.
It's, too many people don't understand the law.
Yep.
All right. And, there's different laws for different states. And I'll just talk about the state of Delaware real quick. There isn't necessarily a self-defense law.
No.
All right. Like we have a castle doctrine thing going on. But when it comes to the use of deadly force, if you're not in your home or if in your workplace and you're just out in public anywhere, it doesn't matter if you're justified or not, and you use deadly force, you are going to be arrested and you are
Yep.
going to jail.
Yep.
And you will await your trial date to go before a jury to prove whether or not you were justified in the
Yep.
use of said force. And then it's up to the jury.
Yeah. And if you have a duty to retreat.
Yep. And that, so for any state, any county, any whatever ordinance where that applies, people really need to err on the side of caution.
Mm-hmm.
It is not worth going to jail, being right. Well, what's going to happen to your family? What's going to happen to your kids? What's going to happen to, just all these things. It's not worth it. And I think, Chris, rooted in this is some kind of humility, a level of humbleness and humility and submissiveness that allows a person to just step back and be like, you know what, go ahead and have your way in this road rage situation. I don't have to prove that I'm right.
Nope.
Go ahead and think you're right. Go ahead and cuss me out, flip me off, and just drive past me so you feel better and you're ahead of me.
Yep.
And I'm safe. Yep.
And I'm going home. I'm going home to be with my family.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Not going to be a statistic today. Nope. It's crazy. It's bad. But yeah, good old humility. And it's missing. It's missing today out there.
Yeah.
But like you said about those people with the PlayStations that were being given away and then they ran out. It brings us back to the animal kingdom brute beast instinct mode. All higher brain function is drained out with the mob mentality.
Yes.
It really only takes 3 or more people. Because like one person, it's kind of shady. 2 people, you might get overpowered real easy. But if you have 3 people or more, it's like
you just kind of like die out to whatever's going on. If you're not aware, if you're not a strong person by yourself, if you're subject to listening to other people, you have to change that mentality in order to fix it. Because if not, you'll do something dumb that you'll regret for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And God forbid you kill somebody out of a spur of the moment decision. I'm going to get me a TV.
Right.
It's not worth it.
No. And this is the thing. People talk about, oh man, if somebody tried to kill me, I'd kill them first. Okay, but what about the consequences of that? People don't think long term. Like they don't understand. You will have taken somebody's life. That, I don't care who you are, that is going to haunt you the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard you are, no matter how tough you are, no matter how you were raised or whatever, eventually you have just with age and time or whatever, you're going to think about it and it's going to bother you. And you're going to think, could I have done something differently? Did I really have to do that? that kind of stuff. And it's like and then not only that, but what about the person that you killed? Do they have family and friends that's going to be out for revenge now? Are they going to be stalking your children? Stalking you? Making your life miserable?
You're always going to have to live looking over your shoulder.
That's right. Because maybe they'll be out for blood too. I mean, you don't know. You just don't know. Not that you shouldn't defend yourself. I'm not saying that. But I mean, these are things that you got to think when you don't have massive cortisol, adrenaline
for real
pumping out of your kidneys and your bloodstream. It's stuff to think about. But bringing it back to scripture, these things are going to happen, and we just need to minister to people to get them set free, and to have their eyes opened to see the reality of this stuff isn't going away. We're not here to change the world and create world peace. The Antichrist is here to do that.
I'm so glad you said that, because the church has the wrong mentality. They have the mentality that we're going to clean everything up and we're going to come back and we're just going to, all of the bad people are going to be swept away. Poof, 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 be gone. And, we're going to live. The Bible doesn't say that. It says we get raptured up, all hell breaks loose for 7 years.
Yeah.
Then we come back, and then everything gets cleaned up, and then we live in peace.
Yes.
The great white throne judgment takes place. If you did evil, you're going to hell. If you did good, you're going to be with God. The heaven and earth is going to be cleaned, renewed. We're going to live here for 1,000 years in peace, perfect peace and harmony, with no evil people here to corrupt us, to bring us back into darkness. That's going to be beautiful.
Yes.
That's something to live for, in the mentality that I feel bad for these people, but at the same time, I have to shake my head. It's like, where did you get this doctrine from, this teaching that everybody's going to get saved? Because they're not. They're not. There is a seed of Satan, like you said earlier, and their job is to be the seed of Satan, to do as much evil as they possibly can, to sow as much evil into this earth as they can, because that literally is their job. And that's all they care about. They don't care about being happy. They don't care about living in peace. They love chaos. They love darkness. And they want that darkness.
It's their natural habitat.
Yeah.
And, Bible says, Jesus comes down and he's like, all right, I'm separating everybody, people on my right, people on my left. And look, the people on the left are saying to Jesus, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons? Didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we lay hands and heal the sick? Who says that, Chris? Church people.
Yes.
People in church say that stuff.
Yes.
People in church are going to hell.
Yes. Yeah.
They operated under the anointing in the gifts.
Yes.
Because it just said so in the word. They're asking Jesus, hey, Lord, we were in church doing all these signs, wonders, and miracles. Why are we going to hell?
Yeah.
Get away from me. I don't know you.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the cold, harsh reality of where we're at. And you cannot assume that because you prophesy, because you've healed somebody, because you even got somebody saved, that you yourself are going to go.
Right. I love how you say that, because I love saying this. Perfect case in point in the Bible. You can be prophesying, you can be walking on water while you're prophesying. It doesn't matter. Look at what happened with King Saul on his way to kill David.
Yes. Yes.
Had murder in his heart, said, I'm gonna kill David. Went to go kill David, but on the way, the glory of the Lord descended upon Saul. He got caught up in the anointing and was prophesying with all the prophets.
Yes. Pride prophesied better than them.
Yes. So there it is. You're walking in the anointing of God, prophesying the truth, on your way to kill God's servant, the one he's appointed to be king to replace you. It's right there. So
Yeah.
it's like, man, never use the anointing as a gauge
No,
for your right standing with God. It doesn't work.
it'll trick you every time.
Yep, that's right. That's right. The only way to know for sure is continually being before God, living holy, living righteous, like basically doing your best to don't do the things you know you're not supposed to do.
Yes.
That's it. And do the things that you know you are supposed to be doing. Do
Yes.
that, take communion, pray a lot, talk to God.
Yes.
That's it.
That's the key right there.
Yep.
That is the key.
That's it. Gosh, you know, so sometimes I think, you know, we really do have such a treasure trove of a church and Pastor Barbara, Chris, because sometimes, and I'm just being honest, sometimes I take for granted everything that we know.
Yeah.
And I forget that other people don't know that, because I don't know, it's just like a thing. It's like, well, doesn't everyone know that, you know, because we've sat under it and know it? But
Yeah.
no, they don't.
We really have been taught a lot of deep things that are simple truths, but if you really apply them, you know, it just, you just don't understand how deep God and how good God has been to us.
Yeah.
Because just the basics of salvation, people don't understand that.
Right.
They don't understand that, you know, I sinned. I myself sinned. I am the one who deserves to die.
Right. Yes.
But God sent his son so that I wouldn't have to. I'm going to take Christopher's sins and I'm going to pay for them.
Right. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep.
And it
When-
really
yeah.
makes you think.
Yep. That's the problem with today's worldly mindset. They say I deserve all right, but they never followed up with to die
Yeah.
because of my sin. You know, they don't recognize sin for what it really is.
Yeah.
This is the problem. And then when you teach them what sin is, they don't like it. Well, you know,
How dare you?
yeah. Right? I'm gonna follow you home in my car now. Oh gosh, it's terrible. But yeah. Yep. Wow.
I often think about, because we've had a lot of people come through the lighthouse, and for whatever reason they couldn't stay. You know, they couldn't commit themselves, or it was too much, or it was just. And I hope somehow, some way that they get another opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, to fix it. Not that they have to be with us, you know, but
Right. Yeah.
some other door opens for them to be able to get back in and do what they need to do. So many quote unquote good people, but it was a road they couldn't walk down. You know?
Right.
It's a
Right.
hard thing.
It is. And I like to extend faith and believe that maybe they were just out of place in their lives, that they couldn't quite connect.
Yeah.
God wanted them to, but they personally just couldn't connect. And that there's like another way, you know, like you said, for them to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because the time's here, Chris. It's short.
Yeah.
And things are happening, and prophecies being fulfilled. And it's not looking good. And a lot of people are
quick level.
Yeah.
Quick level.
Real fast.
I think they had 2,500 people just got killed in Morocco with an earthquake.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, my mom was telling me today that a year ago today, they had an earthquake. So these things keep happening, and you can poo-poo them and say, oh, this is global warming or climate change. Nope, this is the earth saying I've had enough. You guys are being vomited out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep on sending if you want to. We're going to rebel against you, and we're going to kick you out and kill you because we the earth are tired of the sin.
Yeah.
And that sounds strange to say, but
it's real. I mean, I
you
can't
look at
remember.
Romans 8:19.
Yeah.
Creation groans and moans for the
Yes.
revealing of the sons of God, sons and daughters of God.
Yep. If somebody's blood can cry out from the ground, surely the earth itself can groan and cry out because of the sins that have seeped down into the soil.
Yep.
So yeah. Yep. God, that's crazy. But we just have to remain vigilant.
That's the truth.
Keep it going and teach others. Yeah. Wow. That's what it is. Well, I think I'm about tapped out on that topic, Chris.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so interesting. It's so funny because you almost don't have to do anything every time we have a show. There's so much just going on that you could just talk about it.
Yeah. And really, really glean from it.
Yeah.
So in all things and in all ways, we always want you to be people who think.
Yes.
It's very
People who think. People think. People. To people who
Yeah.
think. People think.
Right. Wisdom in the sermon.
People who think. People think. People. To people who think. People think.
Critical thinking.
People think.
yes, so needed.
People who think. People who think. People think.
God bless. We'll